Good evening. Thanks for joining us on India Business Hour. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines we're tracking for you tonight. The window to exchange the 2,000 rupee note at banks opens tomorrow. The RBI governor advises people not to rush to banks. Adds he cannot speculate what will happen once the deadline for deposit and exchange ends on the 30th of September. Says the next course of action will depend on the number of notes that return. Also says the impact on the economy will be very, very marginal. In a first-of-its-kind meeting, the RBI top brass gets into a huddle with the board of directors at public sector banks. RBI warns that bad loans are made during good times, asks banks to remain vigilant. The Adani Group stock posts the biggest rally since the Hindenburg report. The combined market cap crosses 10 lakh crore rupees. GQG Partners, which invested nearly $2 billion into the Adani Group companies, is now sitting on a profit of $1 billion in less than 100 days. Relief for Go First. The company appellate tribunal allows the airline's voluntary insolvency proceedings to continue, refuses to allow lessors to take possession of planes, says that lessors are at the liberty to raise the issue of lease termination and aircraft possession before the NCLT. Prices of electric two-wheelers set to rise as government cuts subsidies. Demand incentives are cut from 15,000 rupees to 10,000 rupees per kilowatt hour. The cap on incentives is reduced from 40% to 15%. The changes will come into effect for all electric two-wheelers registered after the 1st of June this year. European privacy regulator imposes a record $1.3 billion penalty on Facebook's parent company, Meta. The company has been punished for transferring personal data of European Union citizens to the US. Jammu and Kashmir hosts the third G20 Tourism Working Group meeting in Srinagar amidst tight security. This is the first such international event in the valley since the special status was revoked 4 years ago. Delegates from China, Turkey and Saudi will not attend the meeting. Prime Minister Modi arrives in Sydney for the third leg of his Asia-Pacific tour. Will hold bilateral talks with his Australian counterpart to boost trade and investment. Also on the show, farmland in Patiala village is now a training ground for budding female cricketers. CNBC-TV18 travels to Dharoki to meet young girls who dream of playing for Team India. A special report coming up. The big story tonight, Reserve Bank Governor Shaktikanta Das has advised people not to rush to banks even as the window to exchange or deposit the now withdrawn 2,000 rupee note opens tomorrow. Now, the governor urging people to take their time as there is a 4-month window till the 30th of September to exchange or deposit. Speak to reporters in the capital. The governor said that the September 30th deadline is to streamline the process, adding that the note will continue to remain legal tender. However, the governor also said that he did not want to speculate on the fate of the 2,000 rupee note post the deadline when he was asked specifically if it would remain legal tender post the 30th of September. He also said that the next course of action will depend on the number of notes that return. The governor said the Reserve Bank will be sensitive to issues and challenges faced by people justifying the need for withdrawal. Das said that even the number of 2,000 rupee notes in circulation has come down to 3.62 lakh crore rupees at the end of FY23 as opposed to the peak of 6.7 lakh crores at the end of 17-18. Governor Das also asserted that the impact on the economy due to the withdrawal will be, and I quote, very, very marginal.
You have also raised the question after 30th September, what? Now we expect most of the notes to come back. That is our expectation at this stage. We will see how much notes come back. And as we approach 30th, we will decide, at that stage. And the legal tender character, we have said that it continues. We have not said that, this will happen or that will happen. Let me assure the people who are abroad, the people who are now in the foreign countries, and let me assure people who are within India, कि जो भी कठिनाइयां आप फेस करते हैं, we will be sensitive to that.
Well, that is the RBI governor. So how are banks, markets, jewelers and retailers coping with the withdrawal of the 2,000 rupee note? Ground reports in the major cities, starting with the bustling markets of Chandni Chowk in the capital.
While the 2016 demonetization had removed over 86% of the currency in circulation back then, it had provided a time of less than 2 months to the general public to exchange or deposit the demonetized notes. The government, in its recent move, has made it amply clear that this is not demonetization. The general public has a time of over 4 months to reach the banks to deposit or exchange the said notes, and they comprise of less than 11% of the total currency in circulation as of now. We did a status check in 2 of iconic markets in Delhi to know the degree of acceptance of the rupees 2000 note.
We are not the bankers. We are not going to exchange the notes for people. People, if they are coming for shopping, we are going to accept it. And by tomorrow, you will find that, we will be putting up posters outside the shop, every shop, that we accept 2000 rupees notes.
हम तो मना नहीं कर रहे, और जब तक ये 30 तारीख जो भी डेडलाइन दी है गवर्नमेंट ने, आई थिंक शायद 30 सितंबर दी है, तो हम तो मना नहीं करेंगे. हमने तो ये डिसाइड कर लिया है, लेंगे, बिल हमारा कटता है, बैंक में हम डिपॉजिट करा देंगे.
कुछ लोग इनकार भी कर रहे हैं, मगर हम लोग ले भी रहे हैं, क्योंकि ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, इतना हड़कम नहीं मचा 2000 के नोट मोदी सरकार ने जो बंद किया कि इतना एक्रोश नहीं है लोगों में.
जो भी कस्टमर आएगा पैन आधार लेके हम लोग एक्सेप्ट करने को तैयार है.
Most traders said that they are accepting rupees 2000 currency notes for sale of goods but not for exchange with other currency notes. While there is no visible panic in markets, traders are going to wait and watch to see and gauge how the situation is going to pan out in the next few days. In Delhi with video journalist Hriday Kumar Patra, this is Abhimanyu Sharma for CNBC-TV18.
RBI announced that it has decided to withdraw 2000 rupee notes from its circulation. RBI has claimed that this decision won't affect the people in any manner whatsoever. Now, how exactly various markets, various sectors are reacting to this announcement? To find that out, we are right now in Mumbai's Zaveri Bazaar area.
Certainly, we have seen an increase in inquiries, and a little footfalls also has gained. And we expect more in the coming days, in the whole 4-month period.
इस तरह से शुक्रवार को RBI ने अनाउंसमेंट किया कि 2000 के नोट बैंड हो चुके हैं, तो उस दिन से लेके आज तक कोई खास 2000 के नोट लेकर कस्टमर आया नहीं हमारे पास में.
Nowadays, lot of people are coming with 2000 rupees notes only.
As you heard, these retailers, of course, the customers, the footfall has increased, and also the customers who are bringing 2000 rupees note with them, that number has increased by at least 20 to 25 times. That's what the gentleman here said. And good news for retail industry, that's what these retailers have to say. In Mumbai, with camera person Deepak, this is Santya for CNBC-TV18.
We're coming to you from Ananagar, one of Chennai's more prominent residential neighborhoods, also known for its commercial pockets within the neighborhood itself. And what we are picking from most retail stores in this locality is an amalgamation of most stores accepting 2000 rupee notes, while some saying they will accept them but only from known or regular customers, simply because they can't be bothered, they say, to stand in what they perceive will be a queue or a possible rush to exchange these notes as weeks or months go by. But interestingly enough, what almost all these retail establishments tell me is the fact that they're seeing more customers now turn up with 2000 rupee denominations than before, simply because these notes, they say, did not make an appearance for the longest time now. But there's one retail establishment that's seeing more notes now than ever before. It's fuel stations. And I spoke with a fuel station attendant just a little while ago to hear and get the lowdown on how many notes came in on any given day. Let's listen into a slice of that conversation.
We used to get a 2000 rupee note only once a week. Now each fuel attendant has begun receiving 10 to 20 notes on a shift. Today alone, I've managed to collect all these notes. Since there is time to change notes, our owner instructed us to accept 2000 rupee notes.
Well, reports from across the country, and as we've been pointing out, the 2000 rupee in circulation has come down from almost 36% in 2018-2019 to just about 10% now. So it isn't being so rampantly used. Remember, the printing of the 2000 rupee note also stopped in 2018-2019, and there is, of course, the window till the 30th of September for deposit and exchange. Now, in a first-of-its-kind meeting, the top brass of the Reserve Bank met with the board of directors of public sector banks in the capital, and the meeting saw more than 100 attendees. RBI urging banks to remain vigilant on bad loans in good times. Ritu standing by with the details. Ritu, this was an unusual meeting, primarily because of the people who were attending it. But what has been the message from the RBI to bankers?
Well, Shireen, like you said, first of its kind, really, and this is only the first part of the meetings that are going to be held. This one was with the board of directors of public sector banks in New Delhi. The second one is going to be in Mumbai with the private sector banks. But, you know, more than 100 attendees, and you had the top brass of the RBI, Governor Shaktikanta Das, all of the deputy governors, EDs from the Department of Regulation and Supervision that participated in this meeting. And the focus primarily has been on governance and ethics related issues for the board. And, you know, banking executives that we've been speaking to said that RBI emphasized on the role that could be played by boards to strengthen the banks, and overall asked them to have a little more proactive approach. There was a lot of emphasis on risk management, and you know, all of this is really coming in the backdrop of the Silicon Valley Bank-led banking crisis, where now RBI is asking banks in India to remain watchful of any asset liability mismatches or inconsistencies and ensure they take all steps to give the highest priority to and protect depositors at all costs. Now, RBI said more vigilance is warranted by boards, especially when it comes to the risk function, and stressed on the need for boards to have a longer-term vision and not a myopic 1 or 2 year view when it comes to both assets and liabilities management. There was an emphasis placed on the need to strengthen risk and audit committees, more oversight by the boards, and they were encouraged really ask questions, seek data, seek clarifications whenever required. But, you know, like you said, RBI also warned banks that while you're, you know, doing all of this, just remain careful of the environment, because there is a euphoria of sorts and there is a tendency for banks to take unnecessary risk in good times, which could perhaps lead to a buildup of bad loans later. So the overall messaging to boards was become more proactive, remain vigilant, and keep depositors' interests in mind at all times. So this was, you know, the key takeaway. We'll see what happens with the next meeting with the private sector banks.
Yes, we will. Ritu, many thanks for joining us. On to the market action. Starting the week on a positive note, the Sensex gained over 200 points, Nifty gained over 100. IT and Adani stocks lifted the market while the financials underperformed today. The market cap of BSE companies is the highest that we've seen in the last 4 months. Now, the Adani Group's 10 stocks added 1 lakh crore rupee to their market value today, crossing the 10 lakh crore rupee mark. And this marks the biggest rise that we've seen for the group since the Hindenburg report in January. All Adani stocks ended in the green today, and this recent rally has been a bonanza for GQG Partners, the company led by Rajiv Jain, which had invested $2 billion into 3 Adani Group companies. It is now sitting on a profit of $1 billion made within the last 100 days of that initial investment. The value of GQG investment in Adani has risen by 50% in the last 52 trading sessions. On to the commodity market action. Oil prices remain largely steady amidst concerns about the US debt ceiling and potential demand recovery in China. Lower supplies from Canada and OPEC nations also a key factor moving the market. Speaking to CNBC-TV18, Fatih Birol of the International Energy Agency says volatility in oil prices in the second half of the year is expected, and it can hurt developing countries like India.
We expect this year global oil demand will increase about slightly more than 2 million barrels per day. We may see volatility in the markets because of the demand might be very strong, especially second half, if we see that not enough supply coming to markets. But I hope this volatility doesn't take place, because it is not good, especially for the developing countries.
That is Fatih Birol. Now, relief for cash-strapped Gulf Bus. The National Company Law Appellate Tribunal has upheld the NCLT's order, which allows the airline's voluntary insolvency proceedings to continue. Now, this means lessors cannot take repossession of aircraft. However, lessors are free to raise the issue of lease termination and aircraft possession before the NCLT. Ashmit joins us now with the details. So relief coming in, Ashmit, but, you know, it's still a long distance for any kind of revival plan to take off.
Well, big relief coming in for Go First, the airline, the NCLAT, allowing for their voluntary insolvency application and upholding the 10th May order of the NCLT, which granted the moratorium in their favor. Now, what does this mean? What does this translate into? Well, there are two key takeaways. Keep in mind that the lessors had been arguing against the moratorium and they had been asking to take their planes back. That is their main contention. Importantly, under this order, the first key takeaway is the moratorium that had been granted on the 10th of May continues to be in effect, and there continues to be a restriction on the lessors from taking back their planes. So that's the first big takeaway. That was, of course, the focal point of this entire contest before the appellate tribunal. The second takeaway is that the IRP continues to be the man in charge. The IRP will be the one who has been charged with ensuring that the status of the airline remains a going concern, and he can continue to operate as the IRP. No change in status quo as a result of today's NCLAT order. Having said that, the lessors have also not been left high and dry. They had raised three claims. Number one, they want their planes back. Number two, they want their money back. And number three, they've been arguing that Go First's entire application is nullified. The NCLAT has said that, look, we will not decide on these issues, but we leave it open for the lessors to raise these questions once again afresh before the NCLT. So even they can continue to argue these points and labor these points before the NCLT, but that's for a later date. For today, the bigger takeaway is that Go First's voluntary insolvency application has been allowed and the moratorium restricting lessors continues to be in effect.
Ashmit, many thanks. Electric two-wheelers may become costlier from the 1st of June because the government has slashed the subsidies on e-two-wheelers under the FAME scheme. The demand incentive on these vehicles has been reduced to 10,000 rupees per kilowatt-hour from 15,000 rupees earlier. Parikshit is standing by with the details. Parikshit, take us through the cuts that have been announced by the government, and what else does the government order say?
That's right. The government has slashed the electric two-wheeler subsidy under the FAME scheme from 40% of the vehicle cost to 15% of the vehicle cost. Subsidy per kilowatt-hour has reduced from 15,000 rupees to 10,000 rupees. This new structure will be applicable from the 1st of June. We're learning from our sources that the electric two-wheeler allocation under the FAME 2 scheme, which was 2,000 crores, was getting exhausted, and that is why the government has decided to make an additional allocation of 1,500 crores for this fiscal by drawing funds from the electric three-wheeler subsidy under the FAME 2 scheme. The FAME 2 scheme itself comes to an end in March 2024. Having said that, how is this revision in subsidy structure going to impact electric two-wheelers? There will clearly be a price increase. According to sources, the prices could increase from anywhere between 11,000 to 45,000 depending on the model, the battery capacity and the vehicle range as well. Ather Energy, we learned from sources, could increase prices by 30%. Okaya has said that they will increase prices in the range of 20,000 to 40,000 rupees. EV companies feel that this will impact the path to profitability, and the EV adoption could decline marginally as well.
We have been working out the entire pricing strategy. A lot of it depends on the competition as well, but the way we have figured out is that anywhere from ranging from 20,000 up to 45,000, we are expecting the consumer prices to go up on different models. However, obviously we have absorbed a lot of the cost that we could absorb as a manufacturer.
Well, that is the impact of the government's decision to cut the FAME subsidy for two-wheelers. Time for us to head into a short break, but up next, the farmland in Patiala's village is now a training ground for budding female cricketers. CNBC-TV18 travels to Dharoki to meet young girls who dream of playing for India. That and more when we return.
Friends, I want to share some good news with all of you. Firstly, like always, we have performed very well this time also.
But what will we get?
Secondly, we shall invest in employee benefit.
Come on, now tell us what will we get?
And thirdly, we shall invest in LIC's group funded plans.
Great, we'll get everything!
Now, leave encashment,
gratuity,
and along with pension, our future is secure.
Yes, employees' real benefit lies in LIC pension and group scheme.
What if buildings could tell you how they could be more efficient?
I'm listening.
Well, with IBM, you can use software to help you connect and analyze data from heating and cooling to elevators to lights.
What if we use AI-driven insights to pinpoint inefficiency?
Yep, and act on it. Saving energy, money.
And emissions.
Yep, that's a big one. Now you've built something better for everyone. That's the sustainability solution IBM and a global real estate company created. What will you create? IBM. Let's create.
The commodity markets are in a bull run of sorts.
Whenever the world moves from a recession to growth, there is a surge in demand for commodities.
Where crude, sugar, and metals are surging. Which commodities should be a part of your portfolio? How can you profit from the current surge in commodity prices?
Has the Indian investor warmed up to commodity in their portfolios? And are there enough instruments available?
Get the complete lowdown on commodities, all the exclusives with analysis and experts from across the world. Commodity champions at these times.
Well, here's a look at the other headlines we're tracking tonight. Parts of Delhi recorded a maximum temperature of over 46 degrees today as the Indian Met Department issued a yellow alert for the region. The Met has said that severe heat conditions are likely to abate tomorrow for most parts of India. A heat wave alert has also been issued for Jharkhand. Jammu and Kashmir is hosting the third G20 Tourism Working Group meeting today in Srinagar amidst tight security. This is the first such international event in the valley since the centre revoked its special status in 2019. Around 60 delegates from G20 countries expected to attend, both China and Pakistan opposing the meeting in Kashmir, while Turkey and Saudi Arabia have not registered for the meeting. Prime Minister Modi has arrived in Sydney for the third leg of the Asia-Pacific tour after visiting Japan and Papua New Guinea. The Prime Minister received a grand welcome from the Indian diaspora in Sydney. He will hold bilateral talks with his Australian counterpart, Anthony Albanese. During the two-day visit, the two leaders are expected to discuss ways to boost trade and investment. U.S. lawmakers are expected to continue their negotiations on raising the debt ceiling. President Biden, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy are scheduled to meet at the White House tonight. Just yesterday, the U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said the government will have to make some hard choices, reaffirming that the U.S. could default on its debt as early as the 1st of June. Kayla Touche standing by with the details.
President Biden proposed today's meeting with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy in a call with the Speaker yesterday on his way back to Washington after weekend talks held on their behalf hit multiple snags. Negotiators met for 2.5 hours last night, seen here leaving the Capitol around 8:30 p.m. That was after pressing pause on Friday and again on Saturday, with both sides still at odds over where to set spending levels and for how long. The White House proposed keeping discretionary spending flat into the next fiscal year. That's a 9% decrease from the budget that it had laid out. Republicans, meanwhile, proposed increasing defense spending while cutting other social programs and increasing work requirements for those on Medicaid and food stamps. President Biden reiterated at a press conference in Japan he doesn't want to extend Republicans' tax cuts or do anything that would increase poverty.
I'm not going to agree to a deal that protects wealthy tax cheats and crypto traders while putting food assistance at risk for nearly 1 million Americans. And it's time for Republicans to accept that there is no bipartisan deal to be made solely on their partisan terms. They have to move as well.
President Biden says the administration does not have any options to raise the debt limit unilaterally that would be without challenges in the 10 days that stand between now and June 1st. And without a deal, Secretary Janet Yellen says Treasury would have to make hard choices about which bills to pay.
Kayla, many thanks for joining us. Now, the Board of Control for Cricket has announced its partnership with sportswear giant Adidas as the kit sponsor for the Indian cricket team. However, financial details and the duration of the contract not disclosed yet. Speaking of cricket, Harmanpreet Kaur, Mithali Raj, Smriti Mandhana, these women cricketers have not just done India proud, but have given girls across the country a reason to dream. The story of women's cricket is being written in small towns and villages across the country. Let's now take you to Patiala in Punjab, to a village called Dharoki, where a police constable, Gulab Singh Shergill, is trying to train girls as young as 6 to represent India at the international level. Shivani Bazaz with this inspiring story.
Six-year-old Aman practices batting regularly, be it at home or on the cricket ground. Wearing the cricket jersey gives great joy to Aman and 17 other girls training in a small village called Dharoki in Patiala. No cars or public transport. these gritty young girls cycle to the cricket ground, which is basically a piece of farmland converted into a cricket field. Aman and Hargun are the youngest members of the team, which calls itself the Gulab Singh Shergill 11. Their inspiration, women's cricket team captain Harmanpreet Kaur.
पहले मैचेस देखती थी, फिर मेरा भी दिल किया, फिर मैं भी खेलने लग गई।
किसके जैसे बनना है? कौन से क्रिकेटर की जैसे बनना है?
हरमनप्रीत।
हरमनप्रीत, क्या अच्छा लगता है आपको हरमनप्रीत?
हरमनप्रीत टीम की कैप्टन है, बहुत अच्छी बॉलिंग बैटिंग करती है। मैंने इंडिया टीम की कैप्टन बनना है। दिल करता है हम भी एक दिन बड़े होंगे, तो मेहनत तो करनी पड़ती है।
You know, a lot of people call cricket the gentleman's game, but young girls here in Dharoki village near Patiala don't quite like that label. They run for 4 kilometers, train 4 hours every day after school just for one goal. You know what that goal is?
The parents of these budding cricketers say that the children don't miss even a single day of training, no matter how tiring their day at school was. The joy of playing alongside their friends and seeing their friends achieve small milestones is what motivates them. The spirit has led to 4 out of these 18 girls getting selected in the under-15 Patiala district level team. Sunaina is among the 4 girls who have made it to under-15 Patiala team, and she likes to wear Virat Kohli's jersey number.
मुझे 3 साल हो गए क्रिकेट खेलते हुए, और हमारे गांव के लोग कहते हैं लड़कियां क्रिकेट नहीं खेल सकती। हमने उनको गलत साबित करके क्रिकेट खेल के दिखाया है। मैं अंडर 14 खेल के मैं अंडर 19 में जाऊंगी, फिर मैं स्टेट में जाऊंगी, फिर मैं इंडिया के लिए खेलूंगी। हरमनप्रीत दीदी बहुत अच्छी बैटिंग करती हैं, वही अच्छी लगती है मुझे इंडिया में।
Sunaina's mother works as a domestic help in the village. She now wants her children to follow their dreams.
2 बेटियां मेरियां, 2 सेलेक्ट हुई हैं। घरों में मैं काम करने जाती हूँ, चलो हम तो गरीब ही हैं भाई, चल आज मेरी बेटियां थोड़ा हौसला देते हैं मैनू।
Helping these girls in chasing their dreams is a Punjab police constable Gulab Singh Shergill. For Gulab Singh, it all started with his own dream of becoming a professional cricketer. The academy started on Gulab Singh Shergill's terrace in 2019, and when the team started growing, he moved the practice to his own farmland, which he converted into a cricket ground. Shergill's own passion for cricket and lack of guidance is what led him to make this academy.
ये बच्चे हमारे इंडिया को रिप्रेजेंट करेंगे एक दिन, ये ड्रीम है। जे अभी 3 बार तो पहले अंडर 19 के लिए जो हमारे 3 लड़कियां सेलेक्ट हुई थी डिस्ट्रिक्ट संगरूर की ओर से। उस कंपटीशन को देख के हमको लगा अगर अंडर 19 के लिए डिस्ट्रिक्ट संगरूर ने इनको अभी 12 साल की एज में रख लिया, तो जब ये नियर अबाउट अंडर 19 तक पहुंचेगी तब हमारी प्रैक्टिस का समय भी 7-8 साल हो जाएगा, तो तब तक ये बहुत हम आगे जाएंगे।
Young girls practicing for cricket matches is not a sight that you would find everywhere in India, especially in small towns and villages. But these girls from Dharoki village in Patiala are certain that in a few years they would be the face of Indian women's cricket. 18 girls from this village from varied financial backgrounds have a common dream: to play as Team India and to take up cricket as a career, a sport that is still perceived by many as the gentleman's game. In Patiala's Dharoki village with Vijay Rajinder Kumar, this is Shivani Bazaz for CNBC-TV18.
Well, breaking barriers and boundaries. With that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of India Business Hour. Thanks very much for watching. Stay tuned. The news continues right here on CNBC-TV18.